Oproep voor nieuwe kopmans, de luisteraar gaan even. Zodat de dames en heren voordat we weer met de coach aanvangen. Mooie presentatie van de Exloo. Gaat voor u presenteren de vogelshow komt rechtstreeks uit België. Jassie treedt overal in Europa op. Grote shows, muziekenfilms, heeft alle dieren traint. Gaat er een geweldige manier mee om. En een zodanig aantal roofvogels hier vliegen op het terrein. De vogelshow van de Jassie mensen uit België. We hebben weer een headsetje nodig. Daar hebben we hier weer voor nodig. Komt goed. De gast hier op het centrum Exloo onder het motto een ware beleving. Het EK en WK met het komt allemaal perfect deze dagen. Zodat ik een mooi optreden van de Jassie mensen speciaal vanaf België afgereisd vanmorgen om hier een tweetal optredens te verzorgen. Straks komt hij met zijn Trick Riding Team en dat wordt ja, een prachtige presentatie. Gaat zo dadelijk optreden met zijn vogels. Krachtsport, topsport, dames en heren, op het hoogste niveau. Maar er hoort ook show bij. Ik zeg als twee mensen razend populair in heel Europa worden gevraagd om optredens te verzorgen. Vorige week waren we in Limburg, drie prachtige shows laten zien. Vandaag is hij alweer hier in Exloo met EK en WK Mannen. De vogelshow van de man uit België, Jos Clemens, en daar gaat er zelf alles over vertellen.
Deze prachtige sport van mannen en een grote eer dat wij jullie vandaag twee mooie shows mogen laten zien. We trappen het altijd rustig af en ik heb voor jullie vandaag iets rustigs, maar toch speciaal voor het eerst meegenomen, namelijk het oudste samenspel tussen mens en dier, namelijk de valkerij. En we gaan terug naar een tijd lang geleden. Iets wat na de middeleeuwen. Paarden werden niet meer gebruikt op het slagveld, maar paarden werden ook gebruikt door de adel en lieden en zaken ook voor de jacht. En dat is precies wat wij jullie in 10 minuten willen laten zien. We hebben een aantal prachtige vogels meegenomen. En zoals jullie zien heb ik hier op mijn handen een kerel namens Elsa. En het is de bedoeling dat een aantal kinderen naar voren komen. Zijn er een paar kinderen die de paarden willen komen? Kom gerust naar binnen. Je mag naar het midden van de baan komen. In het midden zie je die bouten staan. En die kerel, dames en heren, die jaagt natuurlijk hoofdzakelijk 's nachts. We zien hem hier in Nederland, hij komt veel voor in oude schuren en oude boerderijen. Zijn naam is hij te danken aan die kerktoren waar hij ook graag naar stond. En die uil mag natuurlijk niet gezien, maar al helemaal niet gehoord worden. En dat is precies waarom wij jullie kindjes nodig hebben. Wij gaan jullie dadelijk vragen of je Elsa, dat is haar naam, kunt horen in het voorbijkomen. Als het goed is, komt ze heel dicht voorbij. Even leuk beetje, ik vertel een stukje over het oudste samenspel tussen mens en dier. We weten allemaal dat een paard sinds dat 2000 jaar voor Christus gedomesticeerd is. En de valkerij komt terug in de geschriften en komt oorspronkelijk uit China, Mongolië, Azië. En zo sinds 8000 jaar voor Christus al bedreven worden. En de bedoeling is daarbij dat de vogel voor de mens, of met de mens, jaagt. Ja, geef ze een applaus voor de kinderen. Kinderen, hoor je iets? Hoor je Elsa voorbij komen? Nou, we horen de kinderen in ieder geval wel. Yes, geef een applaus voor de kinderen, dank jullie wel. En wij gaan snel door naar de volgende vogel, niet dat het saai gaat worden. Voor degenen die het interessant vinden, er is een groot verschil tussen roofvogels en uilen. Ze worden vaak onder hetzelfde nummer geschilderd. Daar klopt niks van. Een roofvogel, dames en heren, is namelijk een krop. Dat is een soort voormaak in de keel, waarin hij zijn eerste eten, zijn eerste buit ligt voorverteerd. Middels heerlijke zure sappen. En die uil heeft dat niet. Die uil heeft dus hetzelfde als bij mensen. Een soort hongergevoel. Heb ik honger, dan ga ik op zoek naar eten. Heb ik geen honger, dan blijf ik hier lekker op mijn dak zitten en vind ik het allemaal prima. We gaan eens even kijken wat we nu in petto hebben. Overigens voor diegenen die het interessant vinden. Ons sterkste en zwakste punt van mijn showteam is dat wij multi-inzetbaar flexibel zijn. En met heel veel dieren ooit een hobby ontstaan. Ik heb 12 jaar in Disneyland Parijs gewerkt tussen een groot Nederlands pretpark waarvan ik de naam hier niet mag noemen. Maar we weten allemaal waar het gaat. En dan ben ik vooral bezig met zorgen voor de samenwerking tussen de mensen, oftewel artiest en dieren, dat daar alles goed verloopt, netjes verloopt, leuk verloopt. En ook de juiste paarden daar terechtkomen die dat werk om plezier vinden. Nou, heb ik speciaal meegenomen, dit is Moraine. En Moraine, dames en heren, is een herfstgehakt, een zogenoemde woestijnbuizer. Is de enigste roofvogel die in sociaal gezelschap leeft en jaagt. Ze komen voor in New Mexico, Arizona, etcetera, etcetera. En ze jagen vooral op konijnen. Ze zijn in Engeland weer razend populair. Dit is een ontzettend sociale vogel. Ze kunnen dus met een familie samen jagen. Jagen samen, eten samen en werken samen. Dan moet ik heel even kleuren houden. Er zit namelijk een paard. Helaas was de headset even zoek. Kan gebeuren. Ook bij de beste geluidsman van de wereld. En zit ik even. Hey. En dan zien we ook in de samenwerking voor alle paarden mensen die natuurlijk. Dat het uiterst belangrijk is dat paard weet wat er gebeurt. Vogels hebben niet dezelfde emoties als zo'n paard. Een paard denkt heel anders, een roofvogel ook. Dus het is belangrijk dat ze elkaar goed leren kennen voordat ze met elkaar gaan samenwerken. Zo'n herfstgehakt jaagt met name heel graag op een konijn. Die kant op. Ja! Ik ben een beetje kans geven af en toe, want voor luxe zaken. Sorry. En die paarden, die zijn van die valkerijen. Ja, hey. En zo'n roofvogel, dames en heren, ziet veilig. Ja. Als we het dan hebben over de energietransitie. Zo'n roofvogel ziet 5000 keer zo goed als wij. Roofvogels zijn ontzettend licht, ze hebben een 100 structuur natuurlijk om zo hoog te kunnen vliegen. Hooray! Hop! Hey! Ja, de regen heeft alle handen omhoog. Yes! Vraag me af of u misschien heel even onder het hek onder moet duiken. Ik denk wel dat dat kan. En je ziet de regen checken, waar is die? En even om terug te komen op die oude jachttradities. Nou, hij mag wel met je denk ik, als je zou willen. Om terug te komen op die oude jachttraditie. In Engeland wordt nog ontzettend veel gejaagd. Streek de valkerij te paard bedreven. En die herfstgehakt, die werkt zo ontzettend goed van dat paard. Heeft net iets meer hoogte als bij de mens. Om vervolgens bij zijn konijnenburg te werk te gaan. En zoals ik net al uitlegde, horen die vogels bij die lange traditie. Nou goed, dit was een vogel uit de lage vlucht. Dat wil zeggen, deze vogels jagen op wild bij de grond.
Ze vliegen dus van boom naar boom, zoeken af en toe de hoogte op, kunnen op termijn ook hoog, maar zoeken die prooi bij de grond. Dan gaan we nu eens kijken wie sneller is. Zou het paard sneller zijn of de ree? Ik heb die handjes in de lucht nodig, een beetje klappen. Hey, 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 hey. Yes! We hebben nou meegenomen de ballen van het nepkonijn. En ik ga trachten de snelste ronde te maken wie sneller is. Dat was natuurlijk vrij simpel, maar jullie snappen het spel. Dit was de balk. En de balk symboliseert een nepkonijntje. Daarmee wordt de vogel op conditie gehouden. De meeste spieren van zo'n vogel zitten uiteraard in de borstkas. In de borst, zo gezegd. Ook wel in de klauwen. Heel veel mensen zijn bang van die snavel. De snavel is helemaal niet zo gevaarlijk. Ze hebben met name die krallen of die klauwen die instinctief bij de jager denken, we moeten de prooi aanpakken. Geef ook een applausje. Ja. Hij doet zijn best om het beeld van jullie zo spannend mogelijk te houden. Maar zoals ik net al vertelde, we hebben nu wel gezien. We hebben nou een vogel uit de lage vlucht gezien. En dan gaan we langzaam een beetje over naar het spannendere werk. En wel het snelste dier ter wereld verticaal. Het snelste dier ter wereld op land is natuurlijk een jachtluipaard in Afrika. Het snelste dier horizontaal ter wereld is de giervalk. Wij hebben jullie meegenomen de slechtvalk. Een absoluut oer-Hollandse vogel die hier op nestelt, voorkomt en zich voortplant. En jullie kennen allemaal wel dat hele mooie dorpje, nou ja, stadje net onder Eindhoven namens Valkenswaard. En een kleine 10 minuten daar vandaan ligt net op de grens in België, dorp Arendorp. Weinig mensen vragen zich af waarom die plaatsnamen zo heten, maar dat heeft alles te maken met Nederland. Wij zijn niet alleen een paardenland, wij zijn ook een land van valkeniers. In de jaren 1800 zoveel leefde daar Adriaan Molle en nog veel jaren daarvoor Jacoba van Beieren. Die we allemaal al terug in de Nederlandse geschiedenisboeken. Maar die migratieroute van die roofvogels, het overwinteren in het zuiden en terugkomen tot en met Scandinavië, gebeurde dus dwars over ons landje heen. Daarin werden vroeger heel veel roofvogels ingevangen, met name in de regio Eindhoven, afgericht, dat noem je netjes afraken, oftewel trainen. En vervolgens wereldwijd wilde men die vogels uit Nederland hebben, want die waren zo netjes, keurig goed afgericht. Nou, Wouter is inmiddels aangekomen. Hij heeft Turbo bij zich en we gaan eens even kijken wat Turbo gaat laten zien. De vogel is gehuifd. En dat huiven gebeurt niet omdat we hem al zijn zicht willen vermijden, we willen hem helpen. Omdat hij gehuifd is, kan hij zich rustig focussen en vertrouwt de valkenier volledig. Ik kijk hier even wat Wouter doet. Wouter maakt het spullen klaar. Zet Turbo op het hek en dan gaan we kijken. Nu gaan we naar het spelletje kijken dat ze wel noemen een loerdraaien. Het spreekwoord komt hier vandaan. De vogel krijgt een loer gepresenteerd, die symboliseert die vliegende duif die o zo graag zo lekker wil oppeuzelen. En in de poging die vogel te vangen, stoot hij in grote snelheid voorbij. Ja, daar is meer gelet goed op, daar gaan we. En dan zien we dat Turbo afstand gaat winnen en gaat cirkelen en gaat zoeken, hij wint hoogte. Ja, kijk hem eens gaan. Turbo kijkt, staat in en gaat, oh nee, zegt hij, wacht nog heel even met die aanval inzetten, staat er midden met een lekker onder de vleugels. Als alles goed gaat, hoeven we Turbo straks niet terug te gaan zoeken in de Lelystad. Grapje. Daar komt hij, yes! En hier is die Turbo gaan. En hier komt dat spreekwoordelijke woord vandaan. Iemand in loer draaien, oftewel lichtelijk voor de gek houden met toch dit.
mensen dat het waar was. En je ziet heel veel kijken. En als we dan over een Nederlandse liefhebberij samen zijn tussen mensen die hebben, ja, Wouter heeft extra gehad. And now, ladies and gentlemen, we'll be heading on to our last and the next bird. I do understand the competition has to continue within a minute. I'll do my very, very best. We gaan er even heel snel, Wouter, want de wedstrijd wacht op zich. Yes. Geef er één keer een applaus aan Wouter, dat was Summo. Oké, dan krijg ik signaal dat we door moeten gaan met het wedstrijdprogramma. Wij hopen dat u een klein beetje heeft kunnen genieten. Hartelijk dank en tot het volgende showprogramma.
Applaus voor Jos Clemens en zijn mooie vogels. Nou, die zijn weer gevlogen en wij gaan verder met het Europese kampioenschap. En Jas die komt met zijn verkleinde team straks voorbij. Maakt wel een mooie show van. Straks hebben we meer tijd. Ladies and gentlemen, the comes now the last part of this FEI Driving European Championship football and horses. We zijn er vanmorgen mee begonnen. De eerste deelnemers zijn gestart vanmorgen.
Good afternoon and thank you for staying with us or coming back to the coverage of the remaining few drivers, 19 of them actually, here at Exloo, the Hippische Centrum. We finished off the Para Championships and we have some very talented ladies who have won gold. Alexandra Roda in the Grade 2 competition and Tracy Bowman has retained her gold in the Grade 1 Para Driving World Championships. So we have two new names, well, not new names, but they've been around for a long time, but that's confirmation of winners of the Para World Championship. Germany took the team title ahead of the USA and by the narrowest of margins in front of the British who were in bronze medal position. But it's all about the big teams now. We are back to the 7th edition of the FEI European 4-in-Hand Championship. It started many moons ago when driving became a sport in the early 1970s, 1971 to be precise, in Budapest. And what better way to get going, talking of Hungary, than to meet one of the most decorated drivers in Hungarian sport history, or certainly in recent years, Josef Dobrovic. From near Budapest, he is currently sitting in 19th position, total after dressage and marathon 188.90. So this morning we started once the rain cleared. The timing couldn't have been more perfect actually. We may have a little bit more this afternoon, but everybody walked the cones course from 6:30 this morning. It was open and it was a little bit soggy, but just in time for the sport to get going. It cleared up. It may well come back again, but we had drivers in positions 38 down to 20 driving. So far in terms of the cones competition itself, Yuri Ines Vasil from the Czech Republic's team driving the gorgeous grey Kladrup stallions. He remains in front with the cones. And what's happening for this phase of the competition, if they're going clear, so not knocking any balls down or dislodging any elements, they are given a 0 score. In terms of the team and the individual placings, if they come in under the optimum time, then they also do not receive any penalties for the time. But in terms of the positions for the cones as an individual competition, it is the fastest time that will count. In terms of placings, we may have a dead heat, in which case we might have to have a runoff. We have got 38 of them. But Josef Dobrovic, the star next to his name denotes that he is a member of the team. So we've widened out the cones. I say we, metaphorically. I'm sitting in a box by the corner of the arena. But the grounds team, under the guidance of technical delegate Philip Bateman, and Jerome Hooterman, the course designer, and our 5 judges who are also adjudicating here. They had a busy weekend. They've been judging dressage out on the marathon, and now they're judging the cones. We have an optimum time of 190 seconds. If they go over 400 seconds, then they're eliminated. There's all sorts of configurations of how you can gain penalties in this cones section, and we do try to tell you if somebody does, other than knocking over a ball or going over the time, what goes on. The length of the total course is 760 metres and the speed is 240 metres per minute. The width of the cones is 185. That's 185 centimetres for the sort of orangey red ones, but when you come to those oxers on the course that have the blue cones, they are 5 centimetres narrower at 180. So there's not a lot of width, because if you consider that the width of the wheels for these 4-in-hand carriages, they are 158. So if you do the maths, you can see that there isn't an awful lot. So far, 1 down. That was the D element in the first of the zigzags. On the course, the zigzags are 9 and 16. You may have been with us all day, all weekend, or you may just be tuning in for this final part of what has been absolutely brilliant championship for the world para drivers. And now we focus back on the European Championship. It is extremely tight at the top. Bram Chardon is out in front just now, but there's literally less than a sneeze between him and Michael Brockler, who did a brilliant job on the marathon, as did Cousteron. Those two nip and tuck, neck and neck on the marathon in terms of who had the lowest average times and penalties. Michael just edged ahead, but between those top 3, there is very, very little. And that, in turn, has a bearing on the national teams competition. Currently, Netherlands only just in front, but there's less than a cone between them, of Germany and Belgium in bronze position. Helped enormously by Glenn Geertz's wonderful round yesterday. And Joseph Dobrowitz gets the proceedings this afternoon underway. He's normally pretty good in this cones round. He's also had a few seasons on the indoor circuit of the World Cup, and that does all help. Very, very experienced. 9D was down, so that's 3. He was 3 seconds at 0.55 over, so you multiply that 0.5 or halve it, however you want to say, 4.78. His total is now 193.68. Keeps his position just now, and it's 7th in terms of the cones competition. We still have Yuri Nesfashil in front with the Kladrubers. Tom Stockman's on the Belgian team with his Arabo-Frisians. He's in 2nd position. Rainer Dern for Germany as an individual, also clear. So those are the 3 double clears at the moment. Marcus Stockmeister was clear earlier on today, but had some time penalties. Axel Olin and Christian Schogelhofer had 1 ball each, but were under the time. And then next in Joseph Dobrowitz Senior, who we've just seen, 1 ball and a few time penalties. Edwin van der Graaf, another one of the Dutch squad here. Not supposed to look down, but he did, and it stayed in place. Just had a quick chat during the lunch break, not only to the new Grade 1 world champion Tracy Bowman, who said she's just living the dream and all the hard work and the many miles travelled so worth it, but also Louis from the team here at Hypatia Centrum, and just complimenting them on the wonderful preparation of the whole of the venue. There's been many, many months of planning, as it is to hold a driving championship, but the surface in this arena has really been quite make or break. That's 1 ball gone for him. That will come up on my score in just a minute. 9D, number 7, it says 9D here. Yeah, that's from Joseph's one. It'll just pop up to confirm which number that was. Yes, it was number 7. But this surface, whether it's been raining or has had the sun shining on it, has just made the going absolutely perfect for these horses. Interestingly, some of the drivers that were out on the course a little bit later on were saying, in particularly obstacles 3 and 4 that were on quite sandy surfaces, that the drag was getting quite a lot more. Anna Sandman in particular commented on that. She was the very last to go. And when you'd had, well, the para drivers, not through 3 and 4, but you'd had 38 of the four-in-hands going through by the time she came through. I think it was just, there was a bit of a drag because the ground had been turned over. That's the nature of it. And obstacles 7 and 8, they weren't too bad, fairly flat. 1, 2 and 6 were on these sand and fibre surfaces. Number 5 was the water. Michael Broekler said that he really enjoyed going through that. He had the fastest time of the day and said the water wasn't too shallow, so didn't slow anyone down too much, least of all him. He just absolutely flew through it. Edwin van der Graaf for Holland, doing pretty solid job so far. That was number 7 that he rolled. Currently in 18th position on 187.98. Driving, unsurprisingly, as a Dutchman. Some Dutch warm blood horses. Let's see what the names are of the ones in this phase. They bring 5 horses. They may drive all 5 of them, or one might just have a fairly easy time in the stables, probably get a bit of exercise in between. Either you bring a spare or you swap in different horses for the different phases. He's had Piet, Sem, Bruce and Sané helping him on the carriage, and Belcampo, Freedom, Capien and Lorenzo for the cones phase. So 2 down in the end. Element C in the second of the zigzags. We have 2 zigzags. You can have a number of multiples. There's quite stringent rules as to how many you can have of these multiple elements in a course. And we do have these narrower oxes. They're sort of box shaped, but we don't call them boxes. The box is a different thing altogether in cones. It is something you almost go in on a U, but we call it a box. So we have these oxes. If you enter jumping, an oxer tends to be what we called a spread back in the day. Showing my age here, but 3, 5, 13, 18 and 20. Those are those squares of narrower cones. They have a width of 180. And when the wheel width in your carriage, all the carriages, a bit like after dressage, are being measured. But as everybody is using the same carriages as they did for that first phase, they'll all be completely au fait with what the wheel width is. Of course, it is a minimum measurement. You're quite at liberty to go over that 158, but you might be a bit daft too, because then you will give yourself less room through the cones. Number 4. Yeah, that's cleared. Hasn't been too problematic today. Actually, the narrow cones have been okay. What have been the bogey ones? A little bit. 13 for some, 3, probably the one that was knocked the most earlier on. Odd elements in that double L. But René Ponsgen, who's coming through for Germany as an individual, this incredibly strong German squad of 7 drivers that are here, and then the rain starting. 3 on the national team for Germany, and then 7 driving on the squad as individuals, all being trained by the current four-in-hand world champion and World Cup champion. Broken into double figures, won his 10th championship in February and 6th outdoor championship in Protoni last year. Boyd excelled, but he's wearing his red T-shirt this weekend and worked pretty hard yesterday getting all his drivers through the marathon. He needed a large beer at the end of the day, but always working, Boyd, he never stops. Through 12. No balls on the ground just yet. If any of you were watching that World Championship in Protoni last September, beautiful place, one of the most beautiful settings we could get in sport driving, but it really did tip it down for those last few drivers. the Chardons, Koos, Michael, Marika and Bram, but they held their cool. Bram turned out a brilliant double clear, the only one of the whole competition. But so far, the timings seem to be really good. This is just driving so well, this course. On balance, a few oddballs here and there, but it's giving people plenty of chance. Both the paras and the four-in-hands driving the same route, but we are asking for a little bit more speed from the big horses. They have 240 meters per minute, and so the optimum time for them is 1:90. Rennie in 17th position. And there we go. Job done under time. That might well put him into contention for an individual placing. We'll just have to see how that compares. In under time, 184.66. Yeah, Yuri was about 184 a few hours ago. So that puts René into second place in the individual cones competition. Tom Stockman's now in third. So that's 4 double clears that we've had so far. And now down to the last 16. Anthony Ord for France. He's on the French team. Won the test event in Bretoni in May 2022 and then was back there again on the French team. They would really quite like to get back onto the podium, but the Netherlands, Germany and Belgium are doing a good job of preventing that happening at the moment. On 187.34 in terms of the overall order, not too much changing. René in front, Joseph, Edwin for those that have just gone. So no changes in the order just yet. Remains to be seen if this will have any great bearing on those final placings and who will retain crowns or gain crowns. It's going to be certainly very exciting for the last 6 or 8 drivers, all down to the wire. And will Germany or the Netherlands take the team title? Germany have just won for the paras ahead of the USA and the British. Those are the results in the para competition, yet to be decided in the four-in-hands. Clear through the double L, and number 7 quite tight just to set themselves up from 8 to 9. Now you can't come in on a curve with those. You sort of almost have to do slight dog legs between the elements, and there's not an awful lot of room between them. Certainly on the zigzag for the horse 4s, it's meant to be between each of the elements about 11 to 13 meters. Can be slightly shorter when you have ponies or single horses involved, but we didn't change any of the distances between those multiple elements, only the widths of the cones. That was the main difference, and the rains really started. Not quite as heavy as we had for Frederick Person's test on Friday, and Daniel Schneider's. They were very wet, and as Marika Harm said afterwards, it wasn't easy for them actually even trying to warm up in the rain. Yeah, it's getting heavier. And Anthony wears glasses. It's not much fun when your specs start to get wet because you don't have a free hand to wipe them off, obviously. The horses working well together. Bicati, Carino, Fernando and Hudson are the ones he has taken in his gang of 5. For the cones, he's driving Bicati and Carino, Hudson. They're the geldings, and Jupiter is a stallion. On the carriage getting nice and wet as well. Carol Ord and Pauline Louis. Let's hope they've got a spare change of clothes quite soon. Ready for them when they get those horses out and back in the stables. But just one ball roll for Anthony. That was at number 16, which is the zigzag, the third element C. And a very well judged round, 187.13. So no time to add, just the third, but that pops him in terms of the overall standings behind René for the time being. So René Podsgen for Germany as an individual on 187.66 and Anthony Odd on 190.34. So slightly expensive ball for him, but we're not talking medals at this stage of the game. Yuri Nevesil on with that brilliant round and his brilliant horses, the Generalissimus Kladrubers, they remain in front. René's in second and Tom Stockman's in third for the cones competition. But now we get on to one of our indoor driving specialists, and if there's anybody who knows how to get through obstacles and cones, it's this man, Jerome Voutaz, been driving for some years now. Mixture of French and Swiss horses he uses, mares and geldings. Has won silver medals before with the World Cup, went to the World Equestrian Games in Tryon in 2018. That was a wet event for anyone that was there. You will remember it. Had a good year so far. Fourth in Beekbergen, third in the Aachen Relay, sixth at Royal Windsor, and fourth in the World Cup finals back in Bordeaux in early February. Oh my goodness, and we've got some thunder. I don't know if you've managed to pick that up on the microphones outside as well. Not sure if we'll have any lightning to go with it. Yeah, thunder's rumbling away nicely. So for the cones, he's got Flower de Genesee. That's the mare. Leon is a gelding. Lune de la Vielle Fontaine, she's another mare, and a gelding, Valerio. Those are his nominated horses for the team. Doesn't look like he's using non-stop du paddock for anything. He's here as the spare, and Nicole and Bruno helping him there. They've kept their raincoats on, that was sensible. No marks for turnout and presentation in the cones. They were marked for that in the dressage tests on Thursday and Friday. Pretty much across the board, everybody got great marks for that. One to add so far to his total for Jerome Voutaz. No, they've changed that. It was looking red and it's gone green again. I'll get confirmation of that. I do have this board of flashing green and red lights that surround the cones. It's brilliant for looking up quickly as long as the information's correct. It does change, but this is live sport. Just bobbing along there. His horses looking lovely with their plaits. Everybody presented nicely, but they are allowed to wear their boots in this phase. No boots, no leg coverings at all for the dressage. They'll all have something on just to stop them overreaching or brushing or knocking against each other. There's 16 legs flying around, certainly when they're on the marathon. In the cones, a little bit more controlled, certainly not going flat out. It just doesn't work. You lose too much control and cadence if you do that. But although it did flash up as a ball, the same thing happened in the World Cup with him. But so far, a sea of green for Jerome Voutaz and a very good time. And I would think that will put him into the lead. Yes, that is a very good time. 1:82.71, and that pushes Jiri down into second place. So 1:82.29 is the current fastest time. We'll keep a note of that because it will disappear off the screen in due course. So 1:82, yeah, it's gone. But good enough to put Jerome Voutaz for the cones competition into first place. Now, for the British team, well, British squad. He's a team of one, but he more than fills the space. Daniel Naprous with his horses. He's got, what, 4 Arabo Frisians that he's got here. Odin, who's 14. He's a 14-year-old stallion. Val, an 8-year-old gelding. Ice, 15-year-old gelding. And Zani, 7-year-old. The 5th member is Hero, a 12-year-old warm blood. And for the cones, he's got the full repertoire of grooms that he's nominated to come with him. He's got who's he got? Frank on there. He had Frank and Roger on there for the Campbell brothers during the marathon. And Frank was walking the course with them earlier on. Dan has been the British national carriage driving champion in the past, and he's being supported here by his devoted father, none other than Gerard Naprous, who set up the Devil's Horseman business. They are stunt riders and drivers. They also support many, many big productions. Dan was master of the horse on all through the 10 years of the making of Game of Thrones, and now they've continued with the spin-off, which is the House of the Dragon, if you're Game of Thrones fans, and there was an awful lot of horse riding in there. It's absolutely brilliant, quite gory if you're into that sort of thing. Also worked on Wonder Woman, and Dan has been known to be Darth Vader because he's very tall. Also a tremendous horseman himself. They provide stunt and entertainment teams for shows. They're just brilliant. They've been filming in Malta for the House of the Dragons, and they've been able to carry on because it's been largely a British crew, but I think they were saying things might just have to slow down a bit because of this Hollywood writers' strike. A lot of it's evidently to do with actors also being paid properly about CGI. So nowadays, when you, even a carriage or a horse, or whether you're Dobby in Harry Potter, you can be filmed once and then genetically engineered to appear again, and I think that's part of the trouble with this strike as well. So it has slowed down things for those people that are involved in supplying horses and carriages to the film industry, of which Dan and the family, Sister Camilla, Dad Gerard, are very much part of it. The Devil's Horseman in Buckinghamshire. But had a storming marathon yesterday, very much set him up well for what is to come. And a great round there from Dan. We'll just get a smidgen of time penalties, 0.53, 1.06 seconds over. But the ball stayed on top, puts him currently into 6th position. So won't be troubling the leaders in the cones course. But he has done more than enough to retain his position. He's currently 14th. Currently 14th, and he is on 184.85, and he is ahead of Jerome, who's currently leading the cones. Jerome sits on 185.29. So great job by Dan. He's currently, well, he was 14th going into that. He was 16th after the dressage on 57.24. 9th after the marathon, storming marathon, to get into the top 10 for Dan on 127.08, and stays on his total of 184.85. But hold on to your hats, because although he probably is out of medal contention at the moment as an individual, he's very, very much in the game for the Dutch bid for another team gold. The great IJsbrand Chardon became an individual European champion when the series was revived in 2011 here in Holland in Breda. And has been a world champion, a World Cup champion, multi medalist in teams. And as Bram Chardon said when he popped into the commentary box the other day, what more can you tell IJsbrand Chardon? He's been there and done it. Just really enjoying his driving now. It's great to see him out there with a big smile on his face. Had a slight harness malfunction when a strap came loose on the harness during the early part of his dressage test, but he regained his composure very quickly. Bulls all on top at the moment. Drove a great round in Protoni during the World Championships, and he's won his first European title in 2011 in Breda, and again in Gothenburg in 2017. He was silver behind Michael Brockler in Aachen in 2015, and silver behind his son. Not a bad place to be in Budapest in 2021, but just a mainstay of the Dutch team in more ways than one. Currently in 13th position. Had some very good obstacle times, just had a slight amendment in, I think it was the third one, had to stop and just regroup a bit. But Tracy Bowman has just said that she could not have done what she's done in retaining her World Championship had it not been for this brilliant family and everybody associated with them. So 1:66.7 is the time. He will definitely make it. And just rounding through the cones, another stalwart of the World Cup series, so gets that all-important indoor experience. Good time, 1:87.03. That's fifth in terms of the time, but keeps his score where it was at the start of the day, 184.17. So he's certainly not going to drop a place. Whether he climbs up at all, we will just have to wait and see. But a lovely, smooth round, and in terms of the team event, couldn't have asked for more from this legend of our sport. And takes off his hat, acknowledges the crowd. Next in for Sweden, and set himself up very, very well after a brilliant dressage. Fredrik Persson, relatively new combination of some American horses that he's been training, made the most of, as he said, the time off during COVID. Fredrik Persson in 12th place. He was fifth after the dressage, had a sub-50 score, 48.31, and he really did have the worst of the rain. His marathon score was 134.93. If you think the winning round on the marathon of Michael Brockler was 115.30, and Koos was 116.19, so that just shows you where he was. So he was sort of 20th after the marathon, about halfway through the order, but that good dressage kept him in the top rankings, and 183.24 is his current total. Less than a cone between him and actually René. So there's, if he drops a cone, there's, he dropped 3 or 4 places But he's a very experienced competitor and quite cool, does odd appearances on the World Cup. The green lights are coming up on my screen so far through 13. It seems to be a really lovely flowing course, probably built in mind with the para drivers, the course that was just for the four-in-hands at World Championship level in that beautiful grass arena at the World Championships a year ago. That was a really tricky course. Only one double clear, similar number of competitors forward. But this is flowing beautifully. Really a chance for these lovely horses to open out and get their rhythm, establish their nice trots. There we go. That's a nice sight, isn't it? And just goes to show how forward those leaders are. They were trotting around once the wheelers were cantering. And a good time. Now that probably will put him into second place. That was Jérôme Voutas on 182.
The best results so far, 183.24
And yeah, just confirmation 183. Actually, just wait to see what the final positions are. Confirmation there that time of 138.69. That's propped Frederick Persson into third place in the cones standing. So Yuri remains in second, Jérôme Voutas in front. But now we have for France. And he has been an individual silver medalist before with his relatively new combination, not necessarily new horses to him, but new combination of Lusitanos, and really enjoying bringing them on and training them. This is Benjamin Aod from France, member of the driving committee. You might recall, if you were listening this morning, we had the chair for the last 12 years, Carolee Fugli, who's been really instrumental in keeping the sport in very good health under his tenure, and as he said, really thoroughly proud of how well the youth movement's coming on, keeping numbers very healthy, and the new World Challenge, which is being launched by the FEI in driving to try and encourage nations and national federations that might do other activities involving horses but hadn't really got much of a presence in the driving world, and that's all to encourage them. So all on and up in the driving world. Ben, does all these wonderful horse displays, is a real showman and somebody who loves training these horses, be it with the carriage horses under saddle or the Liberty displays that he puts on. He's travelled to all parts of the world with huge teams of people and horses and infrastructure to entertain people. But this was the same team that he had out on the World Cup, and really enjoying watching them to come together also as an outdoor team. Said over the winter he'll be doing a lot more work under the saddle with them, in contrast to the Arabo-Frisians that he drove so successfully for a while. He said they were particularly good to train whilst in harness, but these Lusitanos, very, very clever horses, but quite trainable. They are good under saddle in terms of bringing on their ability, improving the range with their trots and their paces, strengthening them throughout the frames. Those are all the sorts of things that he will be doing with them in time, and very excited about certainly how their results will look next year. But a very good cones, just what the doctor ordered in terms of the French team event, 186.76, which is the 5th fastest time, that's clear. So puts him into 5th position, but doesn't affect his overall score. He remains on 182.48. So 182.48 his score so far. And that's where he shall stay. It's getting tighter as the names keep coming through. Now in Dries de Greek, he has been another driver for Belgium in recent years who's kept them on the podium with the team. So Tom Stockmans has already been through. Tom's name remains on our cones list. He's currently in 6th position. We've had a number of clears, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 double clears through so far, which is a good percentage. And in front, Jerome Vutaz still for the individual competition. Jiri Neversil, who was part of the earlier proceedings today, this morning's batch that went, and Fredrik Persson from Sweden is in 3rd for the cones competition. But at the moment, Benjamin stays in his position. That was 11th overnight. Dries was in 10th. So we are now into our final 10 for this very, very exciting European World Championship. So the time to beat in terms of the cones course is 182.29. That was the time put down by Jerome Vutaz. That's where he's currently sitting in 1st position for the cones competition, but no change in the order at the moment. Dan just edged ahead of Jerome in terms of the individual placings for the whole event, all 3 phases. And Dries's Scopy horses, they're very fast, pingy little horses, like pocket rockets. They look full of running and very keen. Going well so far in this phase. All Dutch warm bloods again. He was 5th in the World Cup final in Bordeaux earlier this year, 4th in Leipzig, just off the podium, pipped to the post by his teammate Glenn Geertz. 11th individually in Pretoni, but he was on the bronze medal-winning team. He was also on the team in Tryon in 2018. So far this year, he's been at Biegbergen and Aachen. He was 10th at both of them, 5th in Saumur, 8th at Royal Windsor, 7th in Leyden and 12th in Kronenberg. And the Belgian team been looked after this weekend by Mark Ventien. Dries started competing when he was in 2010 with a single, then moved to a pair, turned 18 and took up driving a team. So, absolutely brilliant round. 1:85.56 is the time, no balls to add to that. Keeps his place, no movement there. He's just ahead of Benjamin Ayoud from France. Dries de Greek also on the team for Belgium, 1:80.68. Pops himself into 5th place and another clear. So, a driver who had a very good marathon and a very good dressage, trained sometimes by Boyd Excel as well. And the third of this Czech family to come forward, Radek Nesvasil. There he is, 4. And they all do look very like each other, father and sons. Strong genetics there, and he's got Dutch warm blood, Westphalian, German Trakehner, Mecklenburg, German horse, and yeah, so we're into the sub 180s now, all geldings, and he's got Dantano in here in the cones, Glux, Boat, Gold, Young and Maximus. Those are his 4 for the cones. That was certainly the plan when he filled in his declaration form, but did a very smooth dressage test. Really, they work together. They match well, these teams, although these 4 horses might be on paper slightly different breeds, but they do go well together as a unit. And that's certainly reflected in his very good positioning in the dressage. He's currently lying 9th. He was 11th after the dressage on 56.17, 6th on the marathon, so brilliant for him, 123.53, so that's puts him currently in 9th place. That corner's driving better than I thought it was going to. It does feel quite tight with a long team. You're turning your leaders pretty much as those wheels are in the obstacle. And of course, we would expect that at a championship course. But the same one was driven by our para-equestrians too. Just darting around there. Yeah, that was all right. Got away with it. All looking very supple and light. Just where you'd want them. In your hand, not pulling too much, listening. Keen to go forward. For the Czech team, 8 teams in the running. We still have the heavyweights from the Netherlands and Germany to go through. Daniel Schneiders as well had a great run on the marathon to put Austria into the mix as well. So our nations are Belgium, France, Sweden, Hungary, Czech Republic, the Netherlands, Germany and Austria. Dries currently on 1:80.68. We are now into very tight margins with these last few drivers. So 2 more to go, round 19. Time is looking great. Oh, just swing around, get them squared up. Come on, come on, it's been so good. Well done, bit of a swing on that line, but he can afford to look down, and absolutely thrilled. 183.94. He's not going to go into the lead, but it's a very good score. Stays on his 179.70, so no change in the order at the moment, but a double clear. 4th position in terms of the cones competition. Hasn't beaten his brother, Yuri, but that's all down to those beautiful quadrupers. They are still in 2nd place, but don't forget we've got some pretty natty cones drivers coming up, of which this gentleman is one of them, Glenn Geertz, currently ranked 4th in the world and also 4th in the World Cup rankings, from Oostmaal in Belgium. Dash, the soloist, Erdball, Gigolo, M and Ziron, his warm bloods. And Glenn, we're just thrilled that you're here, and it's gone really well for you on the marathon. He's 3rd place after the marathon on that great score, which really pulled him up into contention. 119.64. Did what he does so well. Was hard on himself after the dressage, but not easy when you've got so much going on in your home life. But generally, a very good cones driver. The tightest of margins between him and Radek. Glenn is on 179.67. Radek Nesvastil for the Czech Republic on 179.70. So not even a time fault or two. It's tight. Interesting, just thinking about the positioning of the drivers back on, well, as you look at it from behind, the right-hand side, the traditional side to sit on the box of the carriage. All our single drivers, apart from, I think it was Chrissy, had somebody next to her, but they're sitting in a central position, so they get that eye line through the middle of the cones. But for our team drivers here, the four-in-hands, they're sitting to one side. And it does just affect the line of vision. I mean, these drivers have done this so often, but you're not sitting centrally. If you drive your marathon carriage in cones, which most people will be doing, perhaps at club level, or just if you're enjoying your driving, you'll be sitting in the middle. But for these guys, they are sitting to that one side, which is the traditional way to do it, which also means that has a bearing on your line of vision and your coupling reins. Your right rein will just be ever so slightly shorter than your left rein, and the left side, because of just that longer angle coming back into your hand. Even though you've got the reins in each hand, it just makes a bit of a difference. Something Achenbach and Max Pape put into that book, The Art of Driving. But come on, Glenn, he's kept his cool. The horse is bobbing along beautifully for him. Very obedient, very obedient. Follow those lines. And now he can breathe, now he can breathe. Job done. Oh, wow. Oh, Glenn, how did you do that? Well done. And the sighs of relief from the family watching from home, who so desperately would have loved to have been here with him, but they're not. 189.80, just brilliant. Kept his cool. And as Glenn always does, points straight at his horses. Always, always will say it's the horses of the athletes. They're the ones that do the work. Congratulations to Glenn Geertz for that lovely round. and
The top 5 up to
doesn't put him into contention in terms of the cones individual competition, but that doesn't matter. It keeps the Belgian medal hopes very, very much alive. Daniel Schneider's now driving with the Austrian flag next to his name. Dancing star Fano Gandhi, Inebi and Kroon-Joel, his big warm bloods, and these are big horses. They did eat up the ground in those obstacles yesterday. Probably the time's a little bit down in the obstacles where tighter turns, but as soon as you could get onto the big flowing routes, he produced some superb times. So he is currently in 7th. He was 10th after the dressage on 55.5, 4th after the marathon, 121.32 after Michael and Koos, then Glenn, and then Daniel. That was what happened in the marathon yesterday. So he's put himself up into the top mix with that great round. But these are very scopy big horses. And he's extremely experienced driving. He too was in Protoni. He was 9th overall, 3rd in the marathon there as well, and improved on his dressage score from then. He was 1st this year at Altenfelden, which is in Austria, 8th at Aachen, 1st in Poznan, and 1st in Stadl Paura. So has had a good season. Who's he driving in the cones? As far as we know, it's Dancing Star Fano Gandhi, Kroon-Joel. Sounds like Crown Jewel in Scottish. Yeah, that's some turn, but they've all made it well. All the balls on top so far. These guys are making it look easy, aren't they? Daniel Schneider's currently in 7th position, and Austria in the team mix as well. They've just, like Sweden, just got the 2 athletes forward, so all the scores count, but they've availed themselves very well over the weekend in Exloo. And good crowds here. We had a super crowd watching the marathon yesterday, and the organisers were absolutely delighted. It was just the most beautiful day. We had families, children running around, dogs enjoying themselves, all ages, at these wonderful facilities. We had got the lovely hospitality tent in the middle, but food concessions all over the place, and just with everything being lovely and compact, absolutely perfect for the spectators. And through he comes. Time will be good. 186.66, all the balls on top. So he keeps his place, 176.82. Glenn has managed by 0.03 to stay in front of Redek, but they have all driven beautiful rounds. So Anna Sandman in next. Was the first of our drivers to really break the barriers in terms of low scoring for the Germans. Was in on very good score. She was 3rd on 42.58. Marathon, she was 16th, 131.61, which gave her an overall 6th, 174.19. And these lovely big striding horses, the power and the class that they showed as they came into that first marathon obstacle yesterday was just a joy to watch. And through number 1 now, Anna. The German team, 2 ladies on board. Mareike will be coming in soon. She had her first child earlier on in the year. but straight back to driving 8 weeks later, as she would be. But it's all about Anna. We all do that, shift our body weight a little bit, even though you're through the cones. It's just an instinctive reaction. But her father, Christoph, before her, an incredibly important part of the German driving scene, and they do a huge amount. Anna's been trained by Boyd Excel since 2016, and he is here as the team trainer for this championship. Oh, just enjoy that trot, everybody. They're big horses. It's a long turnout to get right through those zigzags, but she did it. I mean, the length from nose to tail, and those great long legs to be dealing with, long levers in between. A lot of horse there. Anna Sandman on the German national team. How much would they like to take home a gold medal? And it is so close. So what were the team instructions for her? Double clear. Of course it was. Settle for nothing less. Yeah, through the second zigzag, the lights on my screen are all glowing green so far. And just enjoy those moments when these horses open up across an arena, because it's poetry in motion. 18. And it is tight coming round to 19. It is, look, she's having to get the first horses through those cones while she's still driving the turn. That is good driving from Anna Sandman. Well done. And yes. Oh, Anna. Just inside the time, 0.25. Wowee. Because she drove a safe round there. That was brilliant. Do you think he's happy walking past our screens, that team trainer? Do you think that will have done the job? Anna Sandman, well done. So double clear for her. That keeps the German, there he goes, keeps the German cause very, very much alive in terms of a team gold. Brilliant driving from Anna Sandman, very precise, but they will have fed back all the split times. I mean, the precision that goes into this level, there's no sort of putting a finger in the air and seeing how it goes. They know exactly where they should be. They've got the big clocks and feeding back from those on the side that have watched the times go before, where they should be at, oh gosh, 3:18. They will have their markers. They do on the World Cup circuit as well, where the split times they call them. So now in for Germany. He's not on the national team this time, and actually really enjoying his time without the pressure of having to carry team expectation as well. Georg von Steen from Germany did very well in Protoni as well. He was a member of the medaling team there too. Silver, he was, 12th overall in Protoni, and he's won lots of medals on German teams over the years at World and European Championship level, World Equestrian Games. He's been in various World Cup finals. Again, absolutely up there in the upper ranks of very, very experienced four-in-hand drivers. And this is the wonderful thing about our driven sport, is there is no age limit. Young and old alike everybody competes equally. Darko 46, Desperado, Yarrow Del Viro, and Playboy. Certainly his nominated team coming into this. Grew up on a farm, started jumping, and then switched to driving about 20 years ago. So super experienced, currently sitting in fourth now. As if this wasn't exciting enough, everybody who's tuned in at the moment, it is about to get seriously exciting. Now, these athletes who are about to go will have been watching like hawks what's going on, because the course is driving well. We're clocking up more double clears than we've had in a very, very long time at this sort of level. So no excuses from our final three, apart from the fact they are under big pressure. But all of them are supremely talented and during this phase of the competition. George von Steen here as an individual for Germany. And interestingly, he and Marijke both sitting tied in fourth on 172.45. So could have an interesting situation here, but I'm sure the Germans don't mind at all. Clock ticking there, time absolutely perfect. In fact, is this going to be a time that challenges for an individual place in the running? It might well be. In fact, this could be a new winning time, yes. We'll just get confirmation of that in a moment. He's done brilliantly in terms of his own position, but he's just popped himself into first place. Clearly enjoying this event hugely in Exloo. George von Steen for Germany as an individual. And yeah, very, very good time there. Very, very good time. So 181.49, the new time to beat if anybody is interested in winning the cones phase. It's always nice to come home with an extra rosette. So driving's number one lady, Marijke Harm. And again, somebody who drove the most beautiful dressage test in pretty wet conditions the other day, but these horses just seem to glide over the ground for her. They just look so light on their feet. I mean, that's a couple of tons of horse in front of you, but she, with all the training and the quality, looking at, I think, by and large, the German horses. Marijke. Oh, that will drop her down a place. But the Germans still very much in touch for the team. Don't forget that it's 2 scores per 3 competitors, so Michael now will be wanting very much to go clear, not just in terms of his medal chances, but for the team now. Oh, look at that, strutting out. Normally she's pretty precise in the cones, but has got some pressure on her shoulders here. Would love to be individually in the medals, but might just have put that out of reach, who knows. But she certainly was a clear winner in the dressage, and then Bram a point behind her. They were the only two who were sub 40 in terms of the scoring. Also on the World Cup circuit, she missed it this year because she was obviously pregnant, but stands every chance of being back part of it for the coming season. I'm very much enjoying this near side leader. That's a Smarty Pants. It was interesting what Tracy Bowman was saying outside earlier, that ridden dressage riders have been trying to buy her pony Lars from her. I mean, just look at the action of these horses. Marika's a very good horsewoman herself, so no doubt they've had some high dressage training themselves, but there are an awful lot of dressage riders that would love to be sitting on these horses too. Oh, they just glide, my goodness. It's like you could put silver shoes on them and they'd never wear out. Just the one to add so far, and it is an incredibly good time. They've obviously got their split times. It's not too far off where George was, 1:84.86, but for the German cause, that's a good round for Marika Harm. Just clipped number 4 early on in the course, so only 3 to add. Just drops her behind Anna. So George is currently in first place. He's on 172.45. Anna on 174.19, and now Marika 175.45. But now we really do get into some nail-biting rounds, but they've all been here before. And if there's anyone that knows how to pull off a good Cones round, it is this gentleman, Koos de Ronde, for the Netherlands. And just watch these incredibly athletic horses go through this. He just has to keep his cool and just drive these beautiful horses as they can go so beautifully. Yeah, so it didn't clip it. Relatively straight down to that Oxer, although it's narrower with, oh, look at them just pacing, good boys. More warm bloods. He was on the Team Gold, not only at the last World Championships, but has been on Dutch Gold teams for a long time. Always competitive. Marathon, where he excels. Oh, I don't know about Koos. The rest of us are holding our breath. Wherever you are watching, wherever you may be standing. Oh, tension. You can have all the ability in the world, but if you let your nerves get you, if you let your feelings boil over. Tracy said earlier, I said, you kept and looked so cool. She said, I wasn't cool. She said, but I'm from California and I'm an actress and I made it myself look cool. And that's part of what this is all about. Your stomach might be turning, your palms might be clammy, your toes might be curling, but you have to keep a cool head if you can. Oh, they want to go, don't they? But just number 14. He would like very much to be standing on that podium as an individual medalist. Is he going to? Zigzag to go through 15, number 16. Concentrate, concentrate. You could cut the atmosphere with a knife here in Holland. $17. 18 to go. This Oxer with the narrower cones, round to 19, having to get the leaders through whilst you're still turning your carriage. Can he do it? Come on, Koos. I haven't even looked at the time, just been keeping those eyes on the balls. Yes, come on, come on, come on, come on. Yes. Oh, he's done it. Wow. And you can hear the music going. Well done, that man, Koos de Ronde. And Marie will be somewhere jumping up and down. She lives every heartbeat with him. She's not on the carriage. He's got Anna, daughter Anna, and Sherelle, as far as I know. Look at that. That was very, very special. Koos de Ronde will be on the podium as an individual athlete here in Exloo. Who is going to join him? Netherlands on top in terms of the team event. Michael Brochler has a lot of weight on his shoulders, currently sitting in second position. He was the winner, just narrowly in front of that man we've just watched go round. Oh, this is brilliant sport. Michael Brochler from Baden-Württemberg. I caught him on his bike last night, trying to get a quote from him for my FEI sports report, and he had in his hand, he was cycling along, a box of nails. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear, that's just going to pop him down the ladder a little bit. But he was out there, and this is what it's like in driving, about to go off and shoe a number of people's horses, one of which was Marika Harms. So he's a farrier by trade, as well as driving these horses, but from a family of carriage drivers as well. So one down so far. He was under pressure. He was under pressure, and number two went. Had been quite straightforward. One ball to add so far. That pops him behind Koos, but we will just wait and see where we are. Hold your breath, everybody. It is so tight. He won't want any more balls down. He stormed around the marathon. That water obstacle was brilliant. Fastest 5 out of the 8. Brilliant on the World Cup as well. Such a brave and bold driver, and these horses always respond for him. Did a great dressage as well. Overnight leader after the dressage on Thursday afternoon. And again, gliding through. A bit more punchy, these horses, but they do the job. Beautifully matched in terms of type and their paces. Very upright driving position he has there, barely a bend in his knee as he's wedged up there on the cushion. Just down to personal preference as to how you position yourself on your carriage, whatever works for you. 166.21 was his overnight score through the second of the zigzags. Yeah, balls on top for that. Nearly there, 17 now, move on down. I'm sure he'll be fine for time. 17, clear. This narrow oxer with the blue cones hasn't been problematic at all. This tight turn has caught one or two of our early drivers through, but oh yes, he's just got through there. He will be absolutely fine for time. Probably pretty cheesed off about that one ball, but otherwise 186.36. He is assured of a medal. He's just dropped behind Koos de Ronde, who is currently our leader on 169.10, and Michael Brochler. Oh, how tight was that? 169.21, 0.11 between them. But that's what happens at the top end of this sport. Over 3 phases and still so close, but he is guaranteed an individual medal. What colour it will be very much depends on what is about to happen. Number 2, he just brushed and it tumbled down. Next in, our reigning European 4-in-hand champion. It is Bram Chardon, the Netherlands. put a bit more space between themselves and the Germans at the moment. For teams, Netherlands currently on 326.66 and Germany on 331.01, Belgium 358.09. That's where we are in terms of medal positions for the national teams. Bram Chardon currently lying in first place. He did a beautiful, beautiful dressage test on Friday. 139.52. That was second, a point behind Marijke Harm. Very solid marathon, didn't take any risks, just wanted to get the job done and got some good times on the scoreboard. 124.96 was his marathon total, put him in 7th place after the marathon, but it was enough. He had enough of a margin with that great dressage test ahead of the competition to go into the lead overnight ahead of the cones. Now, he produced the most sublime double clear, the only one to do so under pressure at the World Championship a year ago. Can he do the same here? Yeah, swung round, judged it just right. Not only is he driving here for gold, team and individual, he's got some of his clients here too. Tracy Bowman, he's just guided her to a Grade 1 Para World Championship gold. He's just helped Luca Casatana start out on his international career, and of course, all eyes on his great father as he was driving too. Through number 8, first of the zigzags now, number 9, A. Such supple horses, uses a different team for the indoor circuit, the World Cup. Clear through those 4 elements of number 9, sweeps round 19, 10, counting down for Bram Chardon. Will he win gold again and get his 3rd individual title? He's got a cone and some time, but there's not much in it. Kos is currently on 169.10. Bram 164.48. He's got a slither of comfort. 14. What must it be like to be Bram Chardon at the moment? His hands looking nice and relaxed, the reins just sliding back through as he takes up and releases his loops. The horses are beautifully light, just dancing for and in step. Look at that, look at that. Perfect. Everyone is holding their breath in Exloo at the Hypatia Centrum. Through 17, 18. Time looks good for Bram Chardon. Time looks good, and he's done it. He's done it. He's done it. He's done it. Yes. And some. You are looking at the new, defending, and now reigning European world, well, top of the world today. That's Bram Chardon. He really is on top of the world. He has retained his title in the coolest of cool ways. A brilliant double clear with the weight of every single person here at the Hypatia Centrum on his shoulders. But there we go, even the judge in that corner box has doffed his hat to this great carriage driver. Absolutely brilliant from Bram. And that is Leanne, one of his 3 sisters on the carriage with him. Leanne with him throughout the competition. The whole family Jeanette and Edith, his sisters, Mum Pauline and IJsbrand. They are the #1 family as far as this sport is concerned. And just look at everyone glued to the sides. Cindy's even got her hat on there. Absolutely brilliant. We salute you, Bram Chardon. Pure brilliance. And that confirms that the Netherlands have indeed won gold for the team, 326.66. Germany in silver medal position, 331.01. It was so tight. Belgium in bronze, but congratulations to everybody, and a hug from Marie. Looks like there's a few tears being wiped there. Everybody flocking to say how pleased they are, dancing. Oh, up goes Mum. Big kiss, that's my boy. That's my boy, she's saying. Look what he can do. Bram Chardon, biggest smiles, and we have been so lucky here in the commentary box. Bram has come in and joined me. What a gent he is. He is generous and his very, very proud dad. Maybe just a small tear there for our new European champion. 164.48, Costa Rond. Couldn't have been better. Dutch 1-2 on home soil. 169.10, and just dropping behind after that single ball down, Michael Brockler for Germany, but he has availed himself extremely well. Jörg von Steen in 4th place. Anna Sandman and Marijke Harm, Germany 3, 4, 5 and 6. Daniel Schneiders in 7th. Glenn Geertz, absolutely brilliant performance from Glenn. We're so proud of you, Glenn. He's in 8th place. Radek Neshvasel, great event for him in 9th and 10th, Dries de Griek. So we have confirmation. Those are our cones results. George von Steen was our winner. This is all about time, Jerome Vutaz, and I will give the 3rd position in that course, of course, to Yuri Jr., but his beautiful quadruple stallions. Frederick Persson was in 4th position. So those just are confirmations of the cone results. We had how many double clears? Down to about 16. And Dan Proust just tucked in there behind for the British. He's had a great event, having known Dan for many years. A bit of pride there on my behalf for him too. And there we go. There's no limit for Bram Chardon, European champion. Oh gosh, see, look how clever he is. He can take off his apron and drive 4 horses at the same time. And he and Koos and IJsbrand have ensured that it is gold once again for the Dutch team. France in 4th, Czech Republic. Great result for them. They are in 5th, Sweden 6th, Austria 7th, and Hungary in 8th. So just confirmation of the team results. There we go, running through the order. But a vintage 7th European 4-in-hand championship. And you are looking at, just disappearing off the edge of the screen, the defending and now reigning European champion. Bram Chardon had a cone and a few time penalties in hand, but Costa Rond really did keep his cool for a brilliant silver for him. And there on your screens, Netherlands in front, 326, but it was tight. It was tight, 326.66 to Germany's 331.01. But a bit of space between them and Belgium, but they have all driven beautifully. What ambassadors for our sport they are. The arena will be stripped down. We will have a prize giving. Lots of, there they go, those orange team colours. Just to confirm the running order as we draw everything to a close. Local time is here, just 15:38, my clock tells me, 15:38, so we are just about 20 to 4 local time. actually, yeah, pretty much spot on time. The timetable said 14:05 to 15:14 for the cones. We've done that. And we will now have the in-harness prize giving for the cones for the horse fours. 1 to 5 will come forward. So that's George, Jerome, Yuri, Frederick and Radek. So isn't that great? 2 of our Czech drivers in there. I have a Czech brother-in-law, so must tell him later how well his home nation did. Thomas, I hope you're listening and proud. And then, well, they're clearing the arena at the moment. We've got the Thunder guys back with their trick riding. They had a bird show earlier, so Thunder guys will be back. And then at about 4:30, there will be the medal ceremony for our team and individual medalists. So we will be welcoming back our para champions and silver and bronze medalists in the grade 1 and grade 2 for the World Championship. And for this 13th, the 7th World Championship for paras and 13th, I think I said 7th for the Europeans, 13th European. It's been 4 brilliant but quite intense days of chatting to you here from my little box in Exloo. Oh, it's just been brilliant competition.
And we are driving European Championship for Holland horses. Winner of the coach from Germany.
So coming back in for the cones presentation. So this is the cones presentation. We've got Georg von Stein for Germany. He was driving as an individual for Switzerland, Jerome Vutaz, and making the commentator very, very happy. We welcome back the Kladrubers. Oh, stunning. Frederick Persson, he'll be in 4th, and Radek. Now that's quite something. We've got brothers in the top 5 for the cones for the Czech Republic. I'm sure in our family-orientated driving world we've had siblings in before, but not quite sure when that would have last happened. We've certainly had father and son on many occasions with Bram and Eisbrand, but to have siblings in, brothers, that's quite a moment. Well done to all our cones drivers and well done to the Kladrubers.
Once again, prize giving ceremony of the cones of this FEI Driving European Championship for four-hand horses. Ladies and gentlemen, at the cones at the 5th position, the big hand for the driver from the Czech Republic, Radek. Bravo!
So Radek comes forward. What a brilliant European Championship he's had. And welcoming back into the arena at Exloo, Hugh Scott Barrett. Looking very clean. If any of you saw the pictures of Hugh after he'd finished the marathon on the back of Boyd's carriage at Protoni in that black volcanic dust, he was head to toe. He took off the goggles he'd been wearing and just looked like an owl or a panda. But Hugh arrived, and always such a generous supporter, not just of international level driving, but in the United Kingdom as well. Hugh and Karen. Karen, I'm sure you're tuned in from home. I hope you're having a great weekend. Wonderful supporters. Lieselot and Cindy wearing their hats. They're sorting out this prize giving. They've worked so hard, not just in the office for these, well, since the event opened on Tuesday. And the Kladrubers come forward. I think a trip to the Czech Republic is in order quite soon. And Yuri Nesvasil Junior, he was 3rd. Jerome Vutaz, and we've really got wonderful spread of the nations in this cones competition. Jerome Boutaz from Switzerland as well. He was second, sat on top of the leaderboard for a very long time after his brilliant cones round. But he was on 182.29 for time, but it was Georg von Steen for Germany, did a brilliant round and in a time of 181.49. So that's why he wins the cones competition.
Geluk wensen. En er zitten stralen daar. Georg von Stein. Van Roos, Duitse tijd.
I'm getting messages already. Several people coming to Czech Republic for this trip to visit the Kladrubers. I think we could probably put together a coach load of fans of these beautiful stallions.
Dit kampioenschap mede mogelijk gemaakt door de provincie de Amerikaanse de wereldschotens, Logistics, SCN en Sama.
What a range of wonderful horses we get to see. That's what we love so much in our driving sport. We've had Napstruber stallions in Cato in the World Para Championship. We've had a Haflinger stallion. We've had lots and lots and lots of warm bloods. We've had some Nonius mares. We've had plenty of Hungarian and Romanian Lipizzaners. And we have had these Kladrubers. And just watch these horses fall into step with the music. So that was the presentation for the cones. We will have a short break in terms of the commentary whilst we get the Thunder Boys or Birds or whatever they are back in. Is there anything better than seeing four beautiful horses working together like this, living their best lives, herd animals, fit and having fun? They just make me smile. And Fredrik Persson from Sweden, he's had a great European Championship, superb cones for him, and he was on the podium as well after his great dressage in all that rain, so we'll be very relieved that it didn't hang around too much today. And Radek in fifth.
And fifth from the Czech Republic, Radek Nespacil. The winner once again, Georg von Stein. Excellent, bravo.
Oh, I love a European medley. They do it like nobody else. So that is the end of the prize giving as Georg makes the most of his moment as winner of the cones competition. But in the meantime, I'm sure there's an extremely happy Bram Chardon out there. I might see if I can go and grab a few words with him and just share his feelings with you. In the meantime, we'll be back soon for the prize giving.
Prachtige prijsuitreiking van de vaardigheid, mensen. Later de medailleuitreiking. We gaan nu naar het optreden van Jos Clemens. Dat is de eerste februari. Jos gaat zijn voorbereidingen treffen. Wonderful show, trick riding show for Belgium. Zorg dat onze vrijwilligers en medewerkers geweldig gewerkt, al die dagen lang. Dan allemaal zo'n mooie cap op. We noemen dat de limited edition cap. Die zijn aangeboden door Julius Specters, onze veterinair FEI. Maakt ook onderdeel uit van het European Dental Consultancy in België. Dat bestaat 15 jaar, wordt geleid door ervaringsdeskundige dierenarts Julius Specters. Zij verzorgen workshops aan dierenarts van 26 maanden de kennis en handeling van het paardengebied. Naast het voornemen van puntenfoto's, wat jullie ook regelmatig geraakt bij moeilijke gebiedsproblemen. Nou, het al die kennis aangeboden uit het EK en WK met een mooi gebaar. Ja, zo'n cap moet we hebben een mooie herinnering aan dit topsport-evenement op het Exloo. Er zijn al een paar caps beschikbaar. Ze zijn bijna bij de voorraad, deze kosten €14,95. Nou, baan is even gesleept. Jos Clemens staat dadelijk voor ons optreden. Zal nog wat attributen binnenbrengen. dames en heren, bij ons voor op de Quick Riding Show, wat dus tweewedstrijd België aanstaat het aantrekken van de medailles. Dit jaar wordt ook weer op een initiatief van de FEI de Hand-in-Hand Trophy uitgereikt. We gaan kijken welk team het beste heeft gepresteerd. Met het Europese kampioenschap de kopmontaan in de paardenrennen van het WK. Die daarin het beste resultaat heeft behaald. Dit de Prinses Haya Hand-in-Hand Trophy. Werd voor het eerst in 2010 in het mannen uitgereikt. En de laatste maal was dat in 2018, toen gewonnen door Francisca de Elze en Saskia Siebers. En kijk dit jaar de Trophy in ontvangst mogen nemen. baan is bijna klaar, dames en heren. Zo dadelijk gaan ze loeihard hier de piste van het centrum Exloo Running Team van Jos Clemens. Een speciale zelfs naarmate u meer gaat aanmodderen, meer applaus gaat geven, meer gaat toejuichen, wordt het natuurlijk gevaarlijke en moeilijke. Laat het allemaal meebeleven op de zondag van dit EK en WK Mennen op het centrum Exloo onder de motto een ware beleving. Zo dadelijk Jos Clemens hier in de baan. En wij op het publiek, wij gaan enthousiast zo dadelijk, dat is gevraagd. En dan de medailleuitreiking van het EK en WK. Nou, even richting de paarden zijn als twee op doorheen Europa, maar ook deel uit van de shows. Spelen mee in films. En zo dadelijk live te zien. Het team van Jos Clemens. En doe het thuis niet na, zoals ik zeg, als een paar net. Het gaat echt loei en loeihard. En soms dan geloof je, oh, niet zo snel gaat dat. Ze springen erop, ze springen eraf. Het salto achterwaarts. En dat in een hoog tempo geuren. We zijn super trots op de mensen achter het EK en WK en heel veel vrijwilligers. Maanden van tevoren hebben we er naartoe geleefd om alles in orde te maken. Het is perfect verlopen. Beetje regen vandaag. Natuurlijk heeft het niet in de hand. Maar iedereen heeft zich er wel in gezet om er toch evenement van te maken. En dat in deze mooie provincie Drenthe. Paardvriendelijke provincie met veel ruimtepaden, veel natuur, ook veel Olympische evenementen. Niet alleen op paardensportgebied, want ik zei al. De burgemeester was hier bezig met de wethouders om aan te kondigen dat er binnenkort op het EK wielrennen in Drenthe plaatsvindt. Nou, ik zie daar al een koe binnenkomen bij mij. Van het zwart bomterras. Ja. De koe is er alvast. Drentse koe. Ladies and gentlemen, let's take it over for the team of Jos Clemens. De lasso in handen. Een beetje luider, een beetje harder. De lasso, Jos Clemens. En de koe is te vangen. Maar ja, nu moet ik nog wat transporteren. Er is er los. En dan komt er even mee op de wacht van de muziek. Let's see. De lasso, maar is er bijzonder wat mee. Staande te paard, hebben ze een applausje, Jos Clemens. Dat maakt de stop. En kijk, de paard blijft helemaal staan. De punt helemaal niet slecht maakt. Knallen te zeggen. We zullen er applaus geven, Jos Clemens. Ja, kom! Een paard vertrekt geen stiek. Zo. handen, rechts op die handen, die handjes op elkaar. Kom op. Ja, dan moet hij nog op. Komt hij aan. En is hier super hop. En op. Dan gaat hij, dames en heren, vol speed het team ophalen. Drink riding here to the European World Championship. Mensen, even de motivatie, een beetje aan, een beetje toejuichen omhoog. Let's see you. Ja. Zie. Go. De raad. Hij is vandaag weer de operator weer. Kijk, en zo mensen. Die gaat er aan zichzelf. Even de maatje rond. Even de maatje rond. En haar. En dan weer in het zadel. Van anderen. En op het. Ja, Abbas. Kloppen nog even mee op de tribune. Kom op. vanavond iets meer applaus. Want let eens op. En de kans. 9,5 met de paard, 9,5 met de paard. Ik zie het eruit, ik zie het net wat niet op. Maar er zijn er wel, en er zit er weer. Handjes op elkaar. Dit gaat hard, vol swings. En dan, hang maar aan het zadel. En dan wil je proberen in de zadel te komen. Let's see you. Een applaus. De handstand staat op de paard. Dus de belading en de gewaarden. Moeilijk. Ja, super gedaan. Nou, zit ook weer op de schimmel. Mensen kijken al even mee. En we moeten nog helemaal voor meer applaus. Salto achterwaarts. En loopsprong. Salto achterwaarts. De handstand. Ik kom erop. Ah, super. En dat is het. Dames en heren, dit was het Trickline team uit België van Jos Clemens. Geef ze wel een applaus. Of willen we nog iets meer? Willen we nog iets meer? Al één keer. Kom! Waar staan we? Die eventjes. Kom! Ladies and gentlemen, all the way from Belgium, het team van Jos Clemens. Super. Zo. Nog één keer. Nog één keer. Nog één keer dan. Ah, dit is wel lekker meeklapje, maar dan moet je het laten, anders gaan we hier straks weg, denk ik, naar België. Dus nog één keer meeklappen, dan komen ze nog één keer. En dan gaan ze nog met charter. Met z'n vrienden dat we genomen. En ook dat is dit prima afgelopen. Nog één keer met z'n allen voor het team van Jos. Zo, absoluut belangrijk, dames en heren, gaan ons richten op de medailleuitreiking. Zodat we eerst de hand-in-hand trophy. En wie heeft besloten, dames en heren, de beste is het hand-in-hand trophy opnieuw aan te reiken. We hebben voor het eerst in 2010 uitgereikt in het midden. Op dit EK werden teams gevormd door kies van de rijder en paardenrenner. Dan gaan ze dadelijk horen dat team heeft gewonnen. De Caroline Company, dames en heren, chairman of the FEI Driving Committee, will present the prizes. Together with Annemiek van der Vorm. Annemiek van der Vorm is dus van de Koninklijke Nederlandse Sportfederatie samen met Caroline Company. Gaan zij de prijzen uitreiken, juryleden daar ook bij betrokken. En zo dadelijk eerst het trophy. Dan de individuele prijsverstrekking van grade 1. De wereldkampioenschap para-driving van de FEI. Dan grade 2. Dan hebben we landenteams van het WK para. En dan gaan we het Europese kampioenschap met de top 3 individueel en de top 3 bij de landenwedstrijd. Dan zit het er alweer op.